Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal Big Footy rules still apply.
Alright, so this is the Flogcast for round 17 of the 2013 season. Fyfie joined by the Cat Wrangler,
You beauty!
Duckula,
G'day.
Paddlepop,
Hey.
and our new addition who we found lurking in a 7-Eleven, Dan.
Fuck off.
I'll start with the game that I was most interested in. I rarely get driven to drink by a football game, but for the second time in 2 years, Richmond did that, finally beating the Suns, but oh, fuck.
So it wasn't a celebratory drink, it was a calm the nerves drink.
It was relief, yeah. It was just like, thank fuck we won that. I need to sit down.
It was touch and go there.
I'm taken aback by the language. I've never heard you fly up such a blue fucking stream of... I just don't know what to say.
Calm the fuck down.
Look, it was an atrocious game, and maybe that was part of the reason I needed a drink, because I sat through 2.5 hours of it, and they were wasted, but at least I wasn't angry at the end like last time.
I couldn't understand how Richmond had so much trouble kicking for goal, and, it was all down to the so-called hot air, because, with all those Tigers fans at most games, there's a seriously large amount of hot air generally at one end, so I didn't understand what the complaint was.
There was an actual interesting comment from Dermot about one of the kicks on goal about the moisture on the ball and the way it won't fade in the wind because of the moisture on the ball is that little bit heavier, which I just found very interesting for his insights that can tend to be a little bit left field sometimes.
He tends to overthink things, Dermot.
And overtalk things.
There was a lot of local knowledge that they kept harking back to. The locals say the wind stops when it gets dark.
Yeah, I heard that one.
So many times.
I don't know if you experienced it as well, was the vertigo from whenever the ball went to the commentator's side wing and they couldn't get the camera angle down low enough to see the boundary line, and I thought I was going to throw up. It was just a bit too much.
Gold Coast actually missed a few shots that were quite handy. One on three-quarter time that they missed, and another late in the game with 30 seconds to go. When they gave that free kick away, I was not happy, but I thought surely it's not enough time, and by the time he kicked it, there was, I think, 4 seconds to go. But, no Carmichael hurt the Suns this time.
Daniel Jackson's taken the next step as well.
Yeah, finding it hard to hang crap on him these days.
He's not copying shit from his own. He's not going to get spat on by his own fans, But I thought he was all right. I thought he played a good game.
I thought Damien Harddick was going to pull a bit of a Brad Scott there for a while. He was getting a bit fucking wound up. He was losing it.
They slowed his comment down after the siren when he threw his hands in the air, and if you could lip read, it was F off Cairns. Just sums up the sentiment perfectly.
I would have watched the game if I knew the KFC Boy was going to be on, but I didn't think he was going to be on.
Yeah, he made the trip up and he made it eventful. We've been promised a video.
Oh, yeah, we have too.
Is there a KFC in Cairns?
It's very close. Apparently it's the closest of them all.
The corner of 14 Bruce Highway, Kansas.
So he would have been able to duck out at half time, pick up a bucket and get back there for the second half.
Would that not have been the greatest sight ever? Just the sight of KFC Boy behind the goals with a bucket of chicken.
I can imagine, that there might have been a line there as well, and him kind of getting all sweaty and trotting back in just as the siren goes, and bucket under the arm and half a drumstick in his hand.
He would have dropped half his body weight up there in the humidity.
Big Footy would have imploded more than even after a North Melbourne loss if he had been sighted with a bucket of chicken.
Is there any worry that he might see that he's the official mascot of the Flogcast on iTunes?
You're supposed to get him on at some point, aren't you?
I think I did make an almost promise of that, yeah. I'm scared.
I know how you feel. I mean, I've seen him at the Dome and, you just get sort of starstruck just by seeing him,
That's some card trick I started. There was someone who posted a photo of a North Melbourne supporter with face paint.
Braveheart.
Funny thing is, I actually saw that guy at the footy on Saturday night in Brizzy with the same face paint, same jumper.
Yeah, that's as good a segue, I guess, as any to North Melbourne, Brisbane.
Pretty weird game because we just kept coming and I just knew that we were going to end up winning it. Even 30 points down, I knew we'd come back and win, and we did because we were playing North.
How did you know that? Because, you didn't have your special magic jumpers on.
Yeah, but we had our North choking powers.
Yeah, but everyone has that power.
Except Richmond.
It wasn't raining, Dan, so what was the problem this time?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, there was no excuse. There was no rain. It was a bit of a strange game. I mean, they got off to a good start and they just fell away like they usually do.
Seriously, as a North Melbourne supporter, what do you see that actually changes, and how do you make out what the issue is from what you watch?
It's hard to describe because they play really exciting footy and it just falls apart really quickly. It's hard to put your finger on what causes it.
Yeah, everyone says they run one way, but obviously that's what puts them 40 points up in the first place.
I actually really feel for you, Dan, because being a Hawthorn supporter, our team is going through something similar with Geelong. It really is a mental problem because I have to say, of all the teams we played all year, I reckon that North Melbourne played some of the best football. So it's really inexplicable. However, I don't know about this no excuses thing because although I've got a lot of time for the North Melbourne football team, there's a fella there called Brad Scott who I seriously reckon is just hilarious. In the press conference this week, he goes, I'm not saying it's injury, but it's injury. And I couldn't believe it. Does anyone take him seriously down at North Melbourne anymore, Dan?
I reckon a lot of the posters are getting fed up with how he conducts himself in the press conferences, particularly after a loss. He tends to say the same thing over and over again. Like he'll say, for example, these are just quick fixes or small things that we can fix very quickly. And
he reminds me of Jeff Kennett. So Jeff, do you still think you've got a mental hold over the Cats? And he'd be like, yes. And it's like, no, Jeff, we don't have a mental hold over the Cats. You're a tool bag.
I agree with you to an extent, but he can't come out and smash his team for not having the heart to run out a game kind of thing. He's got to be a little bit diplomatic about it because it's not only the press and us that's going to hear it, it's his players that are going to hear it too.
True. I still reckon they have to admit, like the Hawks have to admit, they're choking. It's Brad chokes on Dick Scott. He's choking on the big stiff one. It's raining. The injuries.
I'll tell you the one thing that I did find really funny watching that game is that TV networks have woken up to it with the Scott brothers. You will see reaction shots with those two more than any other coach because they know there's going to be something good. Brad, they showed him in that last quarter literally once a minute, whether he's taking a drink, spitting out his water, throwing his arms in the air, getting angry. Every minute there's something he's doing television worthy.
Box Footy should do a press red for Brad. Just have his own dedicated camera for the whole game.
Just a little corner box down the bottom of the screen. I'd be happy with that.
Speaking of Fox Footy, for Channel 7 Saturday night games, what they should do is press red for no Brian Taylor.
Oh, please.
Fox Footy need to bring back that old press red for the crowd noise because that would get utilised so much with basically everyone on Channel 7.
Yes. I used it all the time.
Yeah, I don't want to say that the Scott brothers are drama queens, but I have heard that they're making a new version of The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, starring Brad and Chris Scott.
Speaking of Chris Scott, Geelong versus Melbourne. Is 19 inside 50s and a 60-point loss in heavily wet conditions nearly as bad as 186?
You think there's a formula that you can put it through?
Well, rain basically halves a margin. Rain like that. Double 68 is 136. So, it's starting to get there, creeping up.
I watched probably about 10 or 15 minutes of that game, and I don't think Melbourne are a professional enough outfit to be able to alter their game style to the elements. Watching Geelong, they'd get it, and if there was any doubt that they couldn't pick up the ball, they'd soccer it, and if they did pick it up, they'd kick it long. They wouldn't even care if it was an open person or not, whereas Melbourne were trying to pick out target and pick up the ball off the deck when they were under too much pressure. It was a big gap between the two teams, which is obviously was expected anyway.
But wet weather football really should be evening that up for the reasons you say. They should just be kicking it long to space or off the ground.
I don't know if Craig didn't bother to tell them or if they just don't know it, but you'd think it'd be instinctive, but it just wasn't there.
I just thought that Melbourne looked scared of the ball, got wet, and it all was just too hard for them.
And one kick Watts.
You've got to make an effort to run away from the contest to get one kick.
Wet weather football's more contested too, which explains a lot of that.
Not only Watts, but the whole team.
You had 95% game time too.
Seriously, anyone on this panel could go out and get one kick.
Even you, Fyfie.
Okay, everyone except for Fyfie.
You could find space, not pay attention to your man and find some space. Someone will kick it to you.
Just camp in the goal square for the game.
With 19 inside 50s, it's unlikely. Friday night, Collingwood, Adelaide.
The Pies, they were a different team. Having Ball back in the team, having Beams back in the team, that sort of magical five midfielders, they looked really sharp. They're going to push a lot of teams this year.
I think the big thing for them is if they can find a key defender would be huge, because if they swing Reid up forward, they become so dangerous up there when they're not only kicking a cloak, because Lynch has turned out to be a massive spud this year. And Witts is looking all right.
F. Witts might actually not make it to the spud team of the season, the way he played the other week. It was pretty decent.
Still can't kick very well.
Having Beams back in the side is going to help him massively too.
Yeah.
Good to see he's back from his quad injury. Quotation marks.
That was a bit of a contentious one after the game, wasn't it?
The derby.
Stronzo pretty much was on the money when his theory from last week, which was Eagles would be able to go with the Dockers for about 3/4 and then they'll fall off, and that's basically what happened. Cale Morton came on as a sub and reminded us all of why he shouldn't have been picked up, and the better team won on the day. The pressure was good from the Eagles, but it was a bit over that you can just just get tackled and drop the ball because it wasn't held to you for long enough, or because you looked like you made some sort of arm movement, then you made an effort to get rid of it, and the play just goes on. I think I'm a bit over that. Not only from this game, but from the past, say, 6 weeks.
So let me get this straight. You're a West Coast supporter who's fed up with the umpiring.
Yes.
You're making it too complicated. Just boo.
I think it's not specific to West Coast. I think it's a league-wide problem. I don't think holding the ball is being adjudicated like it was at the start of the year. I understand interpretations somewhat changing year to year, but I don't like how the interpretations change month to month. I think it just frustrates me a little bit.
The holding the ball rule seemed to completely go out the window a long time ago.
It's not the same as it was in terms of dropping the ball, or incorrect disposal, you know what I mean? I think that's not as picked up as it was.
What I'm hearing from you is it's the inconsistency, and I agree with you completely. They are inconsistent, and I'll tell you another thing that's annoyed me over the weekend is that I know Melbourne are soft, so you don't need to be giving them a hard time. And Stevie J is a bit of a flat track bully. Everyone knows that. Dropping the knee into some little princess down at Melbourne.
It was actually the only player who's not a princess at Melbourne in Nathan Jones.
Simon Taylor, he got 2 weeks back in February 2009. It was identical to what Stevie J did on the weekend. Stevie J should have got more weeks, and there was a lot of TV personalities that put it in to Taylor, and he was a dick. It was a bad move, but yeah, now they're all saying, Stevie J, it's okay, but I reckon it's a really bad look, and they all put it into Embley 2 weeks ago.
The Embley one was definitely a bad look, and he got his right whack at, even if it was probably a little bit shorter than it should have been.
Now he's got another one.
From my comment from the podcast from that week was that he's just doing the match committee of the Eagles a favour and dropping himself.
Yeah, I mean, but we're all out there saying, yeah, it's the wrong thing to do, and yet Billy Brownless is like showing his ass on TV as usual, and it's all Geelong. He's the biggest ass licker I've ever fucking seen in my life. He's two-faced because he was fighting Simon Taylor. Not good enough, Billy. Soft, mate. Two-faced.
Didn't he get suspended for kicking in his career?
No idea.
I thought you might have remembered.
This was before 2008, so it doesn't matter.
Is that when Mark Mann started following footy, is it?
That's when he started giving a shit about Geelong again. Swans versus Giants.
I saw about a quarter of it while I was killing time before heading to the Derby, and there was an instance where Hanbury was going back with the flight and put the one hand up instead of putting his whole body on the line. And look, I'm not the kind of person that likes to give someone too much crap about that, because that's how you get a serious injury going back with it. But sometimes when it's your time to go, you go. But it wasn't a good look. But the commentary team didn't really say a lot about it in terms of Hutto or Lynch. But Paul Roos was on the front foot straight away. He just came out of nowhere. Roos was like, you can't question the kid's courage. There must have been sun in his eyes down there, There was shades of the run to defend Adam Goods for the muscle memory. And I just thought, what other kind of stupid excuse could he make for Hanbury other than the sun in his eyes? And I was thinking, maybe in high school Hanbury was in the swim team and he felt a bit of water on his skin when he was going back with the flight, so he put his hand back like he was doing backstroke.
I'm a bit confused here. If you're going to talk about a team like the Swans, who obviously are all a bit vague about, can you call them by their real names? That's Hannahs.
I do apologise for that, because he actually referred to him as Hannahs in the call as well. He was like, I can't question Hannah's courage. There must have been sun in his eyes. And then Joey Kennedy came round, and Goodsy and Mummy, and they all gave him a pat on the back.
Just on Paul Roos, Melbourne throwing what's rumoured to be upwards of $1 million at him. Is that enough to buy his love from the Swans?
No.
If he took that much money, you'd have to wonder if it's a bit like Malcolm Blight going to St Kilda just purely for the money, and then he'll realise he doesn't like it.
Roos has more integrity than that. He won't go for money.
You're talking about integrity. This is the same Roos who talks about Sydney on the TV every week.
Yeah, he's a bit of a moron as a commentator, but no, I don't think he'll go to Melbourne.
I don't know, man. I reckon he might. For $1 million is a lot of shit I would do.
They asked him at half-time on Sunday, and his response was, right now, no, I don't want to go coach them. So he's leaving the door open a little bit.
But yeah, the other thing just on the Melbourne job is that finally, after 2 failed coaches, Melbourne have come to their senses and not put Gary Lyon on the selection committee.
What a shame.
I wonder if that was a directive from the AFL.
Whatever you do not appoint Gary to pick the next coach.
They said that to him while they were handing him the cheque, and they wouldn't let go of it till they agreed.
Bulldogs Essendon.
Not enough Bulldogs fans there to boo, sadly.
The Bulldogs actually got close in the last quarter. It was 12 points. Then Dalhouse ran and kicked the goal, but then got called back for no advantage.
That was a howler.
It was a shame. I wanted to see Droggenden lose.
Was ever a club more aptly titled the Verucas? Have you heard so much bitching and moaning on the main board lately and on their board about don't call us names, we're all sensitive, you can't call Joe Watson, Jab Watson? Is that soft or what? Seriously, yeah. I've never heard so much bitching and moaning in my life. It's like it's that time of month every day at Essendon Dope at the moment.
Yeah, it must be the drug.
I've heard that Asada are investigating Essendon now for giving female hormone jabs to their fans.
Someone can't think kill that.
No, yeah, Milne being booed.
Oh, that's something that's really got at my fucking nose as well lately. Who the hell do they think they are? All these nuffies on the telly telling us not to boo. It's not Andrew Dimitriou's game. It's not your game. If the fans don't show up, the players don't get paid. We're your boss, and if we want to boo, we're going to fucking boo, alright? So if we don't like Stephen Milne, that's up to us. I'm going to call a few names out that are constantly going on about booing. Luke Darcy, I mean, everyone knows he's a tool bag. They love the smell of their own farts.
Luke Darcy absolutely does.
God, he's intolerable.
He loves it so much he would bottle it and sell it to people and expect them to buy it.
He wouldn't. He's so in love with the smell of his own farts that he just has them all to himself. You can tell when he's done one because he just gets this little sleaze, little grin on his face.
Are you saying he's got like a fart bottle cellar of his own that's just stocked with his own brand?
Probably got a wine rack.
Say he puts his head between his legs whenever he lets one rip because he just loves the smell of his own farts.
Just like that South Park episode.
And it pains me to say this, but Richo, he's putting himself in that tool bag, you know. I don't care how it sits with you, pull your heads in.
There's some players that copped booing their whole careers. I mean, big deal.
Richo was one of them.
And that's probably why he's so against it.
But yeah, the Milne booing, well, what do they expect? He's playing football with that over his head. No different to what he's been copping for 10 years. Whilst we're on Carlton, first they were giving out free hams or requesting free hams, which was then met with free snags. And now they're giving out free memberships to people to improve their negotiating position for the MCG.
Sounds like something North would do, or Western Bulldogs.
GWS.
You can imagine Brayshaw is like banging his fist on the boardroom saying, "Why haven't we thought of this though?"
That would cost them money because they'd have to pay for it. This is the thing. This is Carlton with a lot of money going, here, have some free memberships. Like, are they that desperate to get out of Etihad?
Carlton are trying to buy friends. They've got their lunch money out.
Got it out of the paper bag.
And they're trying to buy Mars bars for anyone who'll sit next to them and call them a friend.
They're not allowed to buy players anymore, so they have to spend their money in some other underhanded way.
I reckon Carlton have got it wrong. They shouldn't, if they want to become more popular, they shouldn't be giving away memberships. They should be giving away fans. Let me just name it. Poseidon, Black Flag, get rid of him. There you go. Cruise Missile. If they gave away those three, I reckon they'd be over 50,000 memberships genuinely long ago.
Why stop there? Just go with the Carlton board. Sorry, main board podcast, if you're listening.
But yeah, Carlton got a win, St Kilda.
Where are we on the moral ladder?
Oh, St Kilda's still on top, though. They didn't get the moral victory this week because that went to the Australians. Got robbed despite Ashton Agar's efforts.
We love him. He's good.
Thanks, Bad Haddon.
But the worst part about that is Haddon batted well enough to get us close, but not across the line. So not only do we lose, we're stuck with him now.
Bloody a bunch of cheats, those Poms. Seriously, especially that non-walking fella.
Stuart Broad, he's about as big a cheat as there come. In fact, I think we have a top 5 people who are less of a cheat than Broad.
That's got to be some sort of special list.
At number 5 is the Melbourne Storm Rugby League team.
Number 4,
Wayne Carey.
Number 3,
Big dick rat.
he cheated the consumer and his hideous wife.
Number 2 is Lance Armstrong.
And the number 1 person who's even less of a cheat than Stuart Broad, Jab Watson.
Hawthorn Port Adelaide.
You know, what can I say? You know, obviously it's my Hawks. You know, we were very lucky. Just one of those little 10-goal wins, you know, the kind that Richmond always have. Seriously, Port were really good. They're building a strong team there. The midfield bat's pretty deep. A lot of talented young players, and they put in a good fight, and probably the score flattered us.
You don't need Franklin from the looks of things.
Which is lucky, because he's apparently leaving.
Roughhead's a better player than him now.
I've been saying it all year. And last year, I think he's a more valuable player.
He'd be a more important player than Hawthorn, but I wouldn't say he's a better player than Franklin, but certainly more important to Hawthorn.
But does that make him a better player, Dan? He can play in the midfield, get clearances, he can ruck, he can defend, he can kick goals, he can kick a bag. He literally can do everything.
Can he microwave a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it?
He could probably microwave a Richmond membership.
The Bay covers were out, which probably helped distract from the crowd leaving, or at least one person who left at halftime.
And that's our vlog of the week.
Power for good.
I thought it was quite hilarious. First of all,
Amazing.
to walk out in the game, but to make a thread as you're leaving the game. That's it, I'm going home.
The umpiring's pissing me off. I've had enough.
The
Yeah, and it
umpire was
wasn't
pissing me
that
off at
bad.
the Melbourne game, but I didn't leave.
The umpires piss everyone off at every game, but no one has enough that they go, oh, half time, I'm out of here.
Has you ever heard of Plugger? That doesn't work.
There was a smart ass post from Plugger in that thread saying, like, complaining about the umpires, what a pussy or something along those lines. If I'm angry enough, I'm not going to create a thread on the internet before storming out of a place. I think it's just funny he had the time to do that.
I thought that was worthy of flog of the week because, yeah, it's not just the leaving early, it's the I'm leaving early, everyone. I'm mad. Be mad with me. The Hawthorn militant.
That is so far my thread of the week. There is some top shelf fucking inappropriate comments in that thread.
I will say this, Harry O'Brien is offended.
Was it because the kid was not wearing a Collingwood jumper? What's all his work in Africa been for if they're not going to follow Collingwood? Which is amazing that that kid's wearing a Hawthorn jumper because 20 years ago, Hawthorn would not have recruited a guy who looked like him. A couple of other threads I wanted to make note of. One was just the timely wannabe mods thread because we have a new mod on there Bender, who's a pretty cool guy from all accounts.
Duckula, you hate him, don't you? Like, seriously.
I just
think
hate
you
fucking bandwagon Eagle supporters, mate, and it's obvious that he's one of them.
He's a bit pleased with himself. He's smelling his own farts.
Another thread that I thought was hilarious was one of the Cat Wranglers bet threads. Rioli is shit, and if you don't agree, you are stupid.
That was a top shelf title.
Yeah, I agree. I love the title and just the way it went. But now, 100 posts later, somehow Hodgepodge has turned it into a Bartel is shit thread.
The media spin that man can conjure, it's unbelievable.
He's relentless.
He's amazing. He's a human tornado of bullshit. He's on the bullshit jabs, that guy.
Comes with the Hawthorn fan territory.
It's true. I'm a relentless bullshitter. I love him. I'm a big Hodgepodge fan, and Hodgepodge, thumbs up, mate. Don't change.
Just quickly on the poll question from last week, should Justin Westhoff be knighted? 10% said yes, 10% said no, and 80% said Harry O'Brien is offended by Jack Watt's options. Looking to next week, honestly, from the outside, it looks pretty uneventful. I think the most interesting one's Friday night. North Melbourne playing a home game on Friday night against Carlton.
Weather report?
Roof, no weather.
Yeah, it's night time at Etihad. They close it.
Oh, they should do all right on Friday. They're a bit flat track, aren't they? They seem to do all right at the Dome, but when they go outside, oh shit.
I think this is probably game of the round. It's a pretty ordinary round, but this is probably the closest one because you just don't know what you're going to get. The rest of them look kind of one-sided. This one's interesting.
Well, I'm going for North.
I think North will beat them too.
Hopefully North beats Vizzy.
And then maybe they'll cook something else on Monday down at Busy Park. Hawthorn Bulldogs at Aurora.
Yeah, well, who knows? Could go either way.
Hawthorn easily, God.
Just quietly, I think you'll win by 10 goals like Richmond usually do.
Fyfie, don't throw your 800% confidence on my club. We'll be lucky. They're a fine young team for Screen. If we beat them, we'll be very lucky.
You are a bullshit artist.
GWS against Essendon. This is battle between 17th and 18th.
Didn't these two teams just play each other like a month ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It's been a bit different this year. Sometimes there's only like a 6-game gap between replaying some people.
We played the Bulldogs in round 3 and then again in round 11 or 12.
We've already played Gold Coast and North twice.
I think Hawthorn have played Geelong twice. Can you tell us, Cat Wrangler, has that happened?
Yes, we have. We've played them twice.
What were the outcome of those two games?
Humbling experience. GWS aren't going to win a game for the whole season because Kevin Sheedy is a muppet. He's failed dismally in Sydney. He's absolutely failed. He's had every advantage. And all he's managed to do is shoot his mouth off and big note himself. The only thing he's done right is Jeremy Cameron. The rest of it's who knows.
Gold Coast, Collingwood, Metricon.
They'll give Collingwood a shake.
I think they will too. It depends on which Collingwood side turns up. If Cloak turns it on, they'll beat them. And Rory Thompson probably won't be playing either, so that'll hurt them.
I think they've got the midfield that can match Collingwood. You know, with Collingwood with all 5 of their mids in, finally, for the first time in a year or more, they're going to be hard to beat, I think, for the rest of the year. But I think, yeah, they match up pretty well there, Gold Coast, but I still think they're the highest.
Jared Brennan, I don't know what's happened to that guy, but he's terrible at the moment. He's absolutely horrible.
Very happy Gold Coast took us off our hands.
He's been Sheedy.
I doubt very much he'll be playing there next year, and if he is, he'll be on a massively reduced contract.
What happened to Michael Riscatelli?
He's been
Yeah,
Sheedy.
he used to be genuinely used to be really good for us.
Why do you keep saying he's been sheedied? They're coached by Guy McKenna.
I'm just being a dickhead. Just hate Kevin Sheedy.
Yeah, no, Riscatelli's turned a potato, hasn't he?
Used to be a best and fairest player at Brisbane.
Yeah, he was. I remember being genuinely pissed off when Michael Voss tried to trade him during that crazy Bossy period.
That left a bad taste in his mouth anyway. That's why he ended up leaving, isn't it?
Yeah.
That crazy Vossi period, you say that like it hasn't ended.
Once they stop prescribing him stuff, he'll go right back to it.
Definitely. Something's calmed the mind down there. He's clearly been medicated.
Him and Harvey are sharing their meds, mate. They're both interesting characters.
They're running their own race, those two.
I think it's the perfect segue to Demons against Lions, which is in Darwin, which is absolutely bullshit because we should not be getting sent there at all. We have a merger agreement which says 6 games in Melbourne, so as far as I'm concerned, if we're playing Melbourne-based teams away, we should be playing them in Melbourne. This game should be at the MCG. Melbourne should be playing West Coast or GWS in Darwin. Also, this gives us a chance to redeem ourselves after round 5 by missing out on percentage. Hopefully we can get that percentage because once Essendon get docked their points, we're only 1 win and percentage away from a top 8 spot.
Yeah, like 35%. Not even Melbourne are that shit.
The magic jumper, though, if they wear the magic jumper, anything is possible.
But yeah, seriously, Darwin's not going to do much for your percentage, I don't think. It's basically like playing in the wet.
In hot, sapping wet as well.
St Kilda Port Power.
Wow, who cares? Please.
Yeah, who cares? Yep, next.
Richmond versus Freo. Pab's not playing. Hooray.
This is the same game where KFC Boy made his name.
Is that really? Oh, how about
Great
that?
man himself. The one where he was trying chicken.
I think the fact that the video is about to emerge this week, timed with the Richmond Freo game, isn't that just an amazing coincidence?
It's
meant to be.
Kind of stuff.
Anything else on Richmond Freo?
What do you honestly think, Fyfie?
If we play like the last 5 weeks, we'll probably get done, even without them playing. with Pav. If we play like against West Coast, we probably might beat them.
Oh my God. Can anyone else smell what I'm smelling? Fyfie, you've just talked the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. Come on, you're a Richmond fan. Where's the 800% confidence? Tell us what you really think.
North Melbourne kicked it out of us. We got schooled by Brad Scott. That's enough to take the wind out of anyone.
Ouch.
That is pretty painful, admittedly, but still, come on.
Look, we're a reasonable chance
Just say it.
to win by 10 goals.
Yeah,
All right.
there you go.
Fyfie thinks they're going to win by 10 goals. That's what you really think. We know.
We might not kick 10 goals against Ross Lyon. Adelaide, Geelong.
You're wrong. They're going to kill them. They're on fire at the moment.
No Dangerfield.
Cats easy.
West Coast against Sydney could be an interesting game.
I think that's going to be fairly one way. I think that with the Swans midfield, which looks like it's about 13 out of their 18 players, they're just going to demolish the Eagles, I think.
Be interesting if Paul Roos was to commentate that game, because you'd think he'd have an extra little bit of dislike for West Coast.
Was it a respect or a dislike? I'm not sure.
Well, they did steal a flag off him.
I think really, if anything, it'll give him more of an excuse to go refer to 2005. Take his hat off to him, you know.
Isn't it at Patterson? It's a big, long ground, so Sydney are no guarantee. It's a thin ground, which helps them.
They smashed the Eagles there last year, and that was when the Eagles were playing decent footy. So, yeah, I don't hold much hope.
I think West Coast has a sneaky chance on the big ground, and they were decent last week, but yeah, Swans probably still win. So yeah, this was the vlogcast for round 17. Fyfie joined by the Cat Wrangler,
Keep wrangling. Thanks.
Paddlepop,
Bye.
Duckula,
Cheers, guys.
and new addition Dan.
I'm never coming back. Ciao.
And as a special treat this week, we have a musical guest to take us out, KFC Boy, with his rendition of Lady Gaga's Edge of Glory. Don't forget to dance and clap your hands above your head in the interval. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
I need some dancers. Now.